And there you just heard our drought special, Your Voice, Your Future, Drought Crisis 2015, will air next Monday at 5:30 right here on KBAK. We'll be talking about the drought crisis with Congressman David Valadao, along with local representatives from Cal Water, PG&E, and the Bakersfield Fire Department.
The show will focus on how the drought is affecting our local economy, the agriculture and energy industries, and what we can all do to conserve. So joining us live via satellite right now is one of those panelists, Congressman David Valadao.
Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
So we're feeling the effects of the drought here every single day. Just this week, we saw Kern County ban fireworks in their parks because of the fire dangers. Monday, we had a bear that roamed out of its habitat because of the drought conditions. It's an everyday discussion here. So our question, how much of the dialogue is the drought dominating in Washington?
Well, at least for the California delegation, it's dominating quite a bit. There's been a lot of amendments, a lot of legislation. I've introduced a piece of legislation in the last couple of weeks. I've got another one coming up. We've put amendments into some of the appropriations bills, as have other members. It's something we do spend a lot of time on. I was home this weekend and actually driving around my own farm, I can see for myself how bad it really is. But in D.C., we are doing everything we can. We're working through, but at the end of the day, legislation has to get signed into law, and we have to work with the Senate to get it done.
And bringing the discussion back here from D.C. into the state of California, Monday officials said many farmers in the state missed a deadline when they were supposed to confirm they stopped pumping water from rivers and streams. Is this a sign that we're not all on the same page? Could a state budget plan that could force farmers to install those water meters? So as a farmer, do you stand with lawmakers who say this will provide better water use data, or with farmers who say these restrictions are a little bit unfair?
Well, what happens is now with some of these regulations being placed in, it's kind of frustrating as a farmer, because what you get is the state agencies and federal agencies have taken water away, all of our opportunities for surface water, sent it down out into the ocean through the Delta and through other avenues, and we're losing this opportunity to pump real water, and now they're going after our only thing we've got left is groundwater. I farm as well. I do have pumps. We do meter our wells, but for us it's a personal own use. But when the government agencies cut off every opportunity you have for any outside water and then now go after what we've got left, I mean, they're literally doing everything they can to dry up this valley. And it's really frustrating for all of us, politically and personally for me.
Congressman, last time you were on with us, it was actually the day after the governor announced those mandatory water restrictions, and you kind of said that you didn't feel he was doing enough. The governor's office specifically wasn't doing enough. What's the relationship between the governor's office and yours here in Washington, or there in Washington, I should say? Has it gotten better? Is it still an issue? What do you think about all that?
Well, I still think it's non-existent. The governor thinks anything done at the federal level is a waste of time or a distraction. And I would say even Senator Feinstein has introduced legislation in the past Congress, and other senators have been working with us to address this situation. We in Congress have an opportunity to actually adjust and change and hopefully someday repeal the Endangered Species Act so that this type of legislation, this type of law doesn't have this kind of impact. But as far as the governor not doing enough, what I meant by that was we had an opportunity earlier this year to actually capture some water that was going through the Delta in one of those little rainstorms that we did get. We had all the federal agencies lined up. We had a good support both sides of the aisle. And when it came down to one state agency under the control of our governor, he declined to allow us to pump that water. And that water wouldn't have taken us out of this mess that we're in today, but it would have helped alleviate the situation. And for someone who's looking to take away percentages of water from us and restricting what we can use, you would hope that he'd put in as much as he could and allow us to capture any excess water that was going through that Delta.
And do you have some viewer questions for him? We've had a lot of people really preparing for this interview with you on today, and I think Tom has some questions from viewers for you.
Yeah, we kind of figured we serve the viewers kind of the same way that you serve them as constituents. So here is one question from Larry Hines. It's a little similar to what you just alluded to. Larry Hines asks, why are we releasing water to the ocean, but yet we are in a drought? If we don't send the water to the ocean, we won't be in a drought. What do you think about that?
Well, the water that's been going out into the ocean, I mean, we are in a drought. We know that there's less water. The problem is our infrastructure was built over decades to withstand this type of situation, or at least to try to help get us through it as best possible. But when we're forced to release water out into the ocean and to satisfy requirements, and requirements that aren't even justified by science. So the laws right now allow them to waste this water, send it out to the ocean in the hopes of saving fish. And legislation that I've introduced in the past and stuff I worked in the past was asking the question of, if we're going to release this water, prove to us that you're actually going to help the species. And if you can help the species, we're fine. But there's no science still yet that proves that this has helped. It hasn't. We've asked for studies to be updated and changed so we can get some better idea of how well this has actually helped the species since they've been doing it since '96. We're not getting good solid data back, and we're continuing to waste this water every day. And so that's why we've been fighting a lot in Washington to prevent that waste from happening and to allow every drop of water that we do get in this dry year to make sure it's captured and used for our people.
Congressman, you're going to be a panelist on our drought special that's on Monday. What are you looking to get out of that experience?
Well, obviously to hear input. I mean, we do a lot of things in the district from my personal office, things like community coffees and teletown halls. We're always reaching out to our constituents to try to get their opinion on this. And this will be another avenue to do that, to hear other people's opinion, hopefully talk a little bit about what we're doing in Washington to make sure people know that myself and other members of Congress in the Valley like Kevin McCarthy are working really hard on this and continuing to keep this in the forefront for us to make sure we get something delivered.
All right, Congressman David Valadao joining us live here on Eyewitness News at noon. Thank you so much for sticking with us. For our drought special, Your Voice, Your Future.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. The Drought Crisis 2015 will air next Monday. That'll be at 5:30 right here on KBAK. If you head over to our Facebook page, we're asking you to have your voice heard before Monday. So go on, send us our questions, tell us what you want to know, and use the hashtag YourVoiceYourFuture.